Dumelang South Africa, my name is Debogom Pahlele, and you are joined into CEO times Youth Connect, and I'll be your host for today, but I'm not walking solo. I'm working with this amazing panel, and we'll be discussing young leaders, and I'll be introducing them briefly, but for now, I just want to tell you why you're here and why All for Youth SSA has brought us here. All for Youth SSA, together with the Regional Alliance for Youth in Sub-Saharan Africa, this is an expansion of the Alliance for Youth, which was initially founded by Nestlé in 2014 in Europe, and now they've launched it in many other countries, such as the likes of Chile, Mexico, Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, Brazil, and many other countries. And this really just shows that they're so intentional about being in the lives of young people, but also making sure that their futures are being shaped to what they need to be in order for the world to really change for the better. And today, I'd also just to mention these 6 companies who have really been part of the alliance in the Sub-Saharan Africa region, and these are Nestlé, ABB, PUMA, Publicis, as well as Microsoft. I really just like to say thank you, immense gratitude for being these leaders in the countries that we need to see in the change that we want to see in our countries. With that said, All for Youth SSA is really bringing us here together to ensure that they implement employability workshops, training programs, as well as mentorship programs to ensure that the youth of South Africa and Africa as a whole is equipped with the skills that they need for their future of work. Without wasting any time, I'd like for my panel to introduce themselves. I'll start on my left with Portia. You can just quickly give us a brief introduction of who you are and what you really like to expect from today's panel.
Thank you so much. Really amazing to be in this space, connecting with young people, very talented young people. My name is Portia Tokwane. I am responsible for 23 countries within the East and Southern Africa, part of Nestlé Group. We are really honored, to partner with such amazing organizations, to champion this initiative, because we truly believe that the future belongs to the youth. So thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us, Portia. We can't wait to enlarge in this conversation with you. Next up, we have Umbali. I'd like you to just give us a brief introduction of who you are and what you expect from today.
Thank you so much for the invitation and just to be on the panel today. My name is Mbali Mzinyane, and I am the founder of a platform called Wellness in the Workplace. And the platform really just aims to equip new and experienced professionals with tools and insights to navigate challenging workplace dynamics. And one of the things that really is around work readiness training, specifically when it comes to young people. And I'm hoping that the insights that I'm able to share today can really just speak to some of those skills that are needed to enter the workforce and to also maybe just demystify the idea of working and the workplace itself. So yeah, that's my contribution today.
Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll just move briefly to you. Please just introduce yourself and just tell us what you're expecting from today.
My name is Lerato Morati. I work for Alex Forbes as head of human capital. Extremely passionate about mentoring and really having conversations with young people. And I think that for me is ultimately what I'm hoping to get out of today's conversation. One, reflecting on my own experiences and hoping that other people will tap into those. But most importantly, setting the scene in terms of what young people should be focusing on today.
And next up, I'll just move on to Deepshika. Please just tell us briefly about yourself and what do you expect from today?
Thank you so much. So hello, everyone. My name is Deepshika. I am an entrepreneurial leadership faculty member at the African Leadership Academy, a school whose mission is to develop the next generation of entrepreneurial leaders. I'm also the co-founder of Minority Africa, an online media company that seeks to celebrate and support the stories of minority communities on the African continent.
Thank you so much. I'd like to just move on to Dumelo. Please just give us a brief introduction of who you are.
I'm a digital marketing manager for Oppo South Africa. We're a mobile technology company, a young tech brand. I'm also a mentee of the All for Youth program. I had the opportunity of being mentored by the CEO of Nestlé, which was a great experience. And everyone on the panel has been saying they want to talk to young people. I think we're still all young people here. So I really am privileged to be here and look forward to, sharing some insights on my experience and how we can be better people every day.
Thank you so much for all the introductions. As you know, that All for Youth SSA doesn't say you come here to hear what we have to talk about. We also give away prizes. So if you're at home or sitting here, who wants to win any prizes? You guys are not giving me the energy. Does anyone want to win any prizes? Can we get a big yes, sir? Like a more energetic yes in the room? Okay. So please use the hashtag CEO times Youth Connect 2024, as well as All for Youth SSA. You want to write them down. No one is taking out their phones to make sure that they're noting this down. Please take pictures of us, videos, or share about the experience today and what you're learning. You can even live tweet on Twitter, tag us, hashtag CEOX Youth Connect 2024, All for Youth SSA. Do we get that? Do you want to know what your prizes are? So if you actually tag us and really share as much content as you possibly can, you can win a cash prize up to 5,000 Rand. Can I get a woo? You can win yourself a notebook, laptop, or cell phone devices. Okay. You can win yourself some Uber Eat vouchers. I know some of us are students here, and you don't want to cook, So there's that up for grabs, and also youth partner merchandise that you can have. So I'm guessing it's either like your T-shirts or your nice bags that you can go to lectures with. So please do connect with us and interact with us on social media platforms. I know everyone here has a cell phone, so please make sure that you're taking the notes, tweeting, tagging us, and sharing. So I'm just going to quickly get into our talk today. There's a quote that I want to share with you that I live by, and it says that our dreams are tied onto so many people's dreams. So many people are looking at us to succeed in order for them to realize that, oh man, my dream is also valid. Coming from a township, it's very important for me to step into my dreams and to the purpose that I'm placed on this earth to do, in order for someone else in the townships to also see that, oh, that's actually also possible. And that's one of the starting points that I want to tap into is, the journey of leadership. What does leadership mean to you specifically? And I think let me start with Portia.
Corner, so I'll always be the starting person, but thank you so much. That is a really powerful question. Leadership, the term leadership, such a dynamic term. There's so much in it, and so many people think they've figured it out. No one ever figures it out. It is an ongoing learning journey. So for me, a leader is somebody who carries a vision, for an organization. Same in our country. We've got our leaders who carry the vision for the country. So what is so critical is the one who carries a vision to be able to clearly articulate to the people who they want to assist them to bring that vision to life. So for me, the vision carer, that's what leadership is all about, but having people who can understand, you clearly crystallize that vision and you help them to bring it to life. And helping them to bring it to life, an era or a conventional way that most have looked at leadership agenda has been, how much do we extract out of people? We drive results through people, want to take. For me, leadership mindset that is required is how much do we give to people? Are we giving care? Are we giving growth? Are we extracting, helping people to really release the juices of all their talents, to bring into the workplace, if it's a workplace or whatever organization that you're looking at. So the journey for me, for leadership, is all about the person, the leader, more than others. What is it that I'm learning about myself? What am I bringing in an organization that is going to help people to really bring their best selves to an organization? So it's a very interesting, ongoing, personal agenda. That is what leadership is to me.
It's a very interesting, ongoing personal agenda. I think that's such an important thing, to note in that. I think let me get a male perspective. Maybe Lerato, you can also just share what leadership means to you.
Sure. So for me, it really is about taking people on a journey. I often make the example that if one person was to stand up and they were to dance like a crazy person, we're going to think, what are you doing? Like, you're crazy. However, when they're followed by other people and you have masses of people joining those people, then you have created a sense of followership, and you've created or inspired other people to get up and dance with you. And for me, that's what leadership it really is about. It's about creating that followership and creating a journey for people, because it's so important that as a leader that you carry an experience, but you carry that experience for other individuals. And so when people are leading or when people follow you, they understand that you have created that impact for them.
I like that. And I think I'm going to come to you, Dipshika. As being the first female prime minister for the National Youth Parliament of Mauritius, that's such a big deal. Can we get a round of applause for that?
Thank you.
That is such a big deal. And how have you embodied leadership from a young age? And what advice would you have for young people around this room and online as well that you can give to them?
Well, first of all, thank you. I did not expect that to come up, but thank you. I think, I'll share the quick personal story. So when I was 9 years old, don't ask me why, but the only agenda I had was I wanted to become the first female prime minister of Mauritius. I think back then it looked more like having people drive me around and getting fancy outfits, obviously at 9 years old. But I think as I grew, I told myself that every single experience I had with the public space or the civic space was from what I learned in books or watching other people who did not look like me be in those spaces. And so I made it my personal mission to be like, I want to see what it's like to be in those spaces and to learn from these spaces. So I became the Prime Minister of the Youth Parliament when I was around 22. I'm telling my age here, but it's okay. When I was 22, and I think it made me realize that, one, it's the space that I want to be in, but that dream sort of changed from me being the prime minister as opposed to creating more spaces for young people, especially young women, to become in office, should they choose to do that, because I didn't have those spaces to do that, right? And it was the first time that we had young women sitting in the parliament. And so I think for me, one of the biggest takeaway that I had from that is, and it's not my quote, I wish it was, it is from the first female, the black female Democratic nominee in the US. And so she said that if there is no seat for you at the table, you should bring your own chair. But I think for me, it's if there's no seat for you at the table, you could just build your own table. And I think for me, that's sort of what I look for, right? If there are spaces that you want to be in and there are no spaces for you, then create your own space, right? It's not limited to just having 10 people at the table. Find other spaces where you can find yourself in and bring yourself and surround yourself with people who believe in the same vision. And I'll piggyback on what you said, right? Like bringing people along with you. It never has to be a personal journey. You could get into it because there's a cause that you want to fight for or something you want to do. But having people around you always makes it better. So I think it's never lonely. So you can have people around you. Yeah.
I love that. I think, Madi, I'll bring this on to you. Do you think leaders are born, or do you think they're nurtured, or maybe touching into your journey? Unfolded in your life?
Sure. So I don't think leaders are born. I think leaders are made. It is a deliberate and intentional journey into leadership. It's something that you have to craft yourself based on the vision that Portia was talking about. But I think a point I want to emphasize on when it comes to leadership is the fact that it starts with leading yourself. It's very difficult for you to rally up people to follow you and to buy into your vision if you are not committed to leading yourself. And a lot of that starts with being very intentional about what you want to achieve, being very clear about the vision that you want for yourself, and then cultivating the skills and the discipline to see that through. And through that, and emulating and embodying those qualities, then people will buy into your story. And I think for me and my story, it really has been that, right? Having a vision, even though sometimes it may have not been as clear as I would have liked it to be, but being consistent enough and being intentional enough to execute on that vision to a point where people recognize what I'm doing and buy into that, and through that, cultivating my ability to then influence those that are around me. So it definitely starts with you. And I think a point I just want to land on is also the fact that you don't need the titles and the positions to be able to be a leader. It starts literally where you are. The titles and the positions don't make a leader. It is you and the choice of wanting to lead and being clear about your vision and intentional about it that makes you one.
Thank you for that. I think that's such an amazing thing to say. And I love what you said when being a leader really is, before you lead others, it really starts with self, you know. What kind of leader are you to yourself before you embodied it to the world? So I really love that. Duman, I'm going to move on to you. With you being a marketing manager for such a big brand, just let me know, can you share a defining moment that shaped your leadership style, to the kind of person that you are today in the position that you are in?
Okay, so I think when I look at my leadership style, sorry, I'm a firm believer of the expert in anything was once a beginner. So I think it was when Oppo came into the country, because it's a 4-year-old brand in South Africa, but globally it's been around for about 20 years. It was also understanding the team dynamics, right, in the cross cultures between the Chinese culture, South African culture, and then merging those two worlds together into bringing this brand that people love and experience. So I think for me, in terms of my leadership style, it was an empathetic kind of leadership style. It's first to seek to understand, right, and then to be understood. So that for me is the one thing that I find very important, is that once you understand where people are coming from, then you're better able to lead them and get them to achieve optimum output.
Love that. And I think I'm going to go back to Portia, because she is actually going to be leaving us at 12:50, I believe, and there's a Nestlé prize that we're giving away. So please make sure you're engaging, sharing the content, because everybody's getting a prize. You get a prize, everybody gets a prize. So please make sure that you're interacting with us. I just want to move on to you quickly. There's something that Dipshika said earlier on, where she said, leadership, you cannot lead in isolation. It's so important that the people that are behind you, really play an important role in the kind of leader that you become. Please maybe share a bit about just the leaders behind you who have come before you, who have really shaped the person that you are today, and how can you instill those same lessons to the people in the room, the people at home today?
Yes. Thank you for that question. There's so many, there's not one, because the leadership journey and the self-development journey is an ongoing one. We never truly get there, So as we move, in our personal journeys, there's so many people that we are connecting with, we're learning from. My very first executive, her name is Michelle Edelson. She is based in Australia now. She's the president of HR for BHP Billiton. The very first task that she gave me when I was green in the organization was put together a strategy, an HR strategy. I knew HR from a textbook at that time, so I was so shocked. I didn't even know where to start. Luckily, Google had started. We had Google at that time, so I had to do a lot of research, figured it out. And she didn't care that I didn't know. She was cultivating a character in me. Go and try, go and figure it out, and that is what I did. I hardly slept. She gave me 2 days to do it. And I put together something. I knew I was not confident about it. I went back to her and said, okay, this is what I have. And then that's when she sat down with me to say, okay, this is the framework of a strategy, is what it should look like, guided me through it, and then I went back and produced a good piece of work. And there's a lot of those experiences. Replicate this report. At that time, I don't even know what the word replicate means. I want it first thing in the morning, then you're like, I have to be up most of the night working. So really created a character of great work ethic, resilience, and not being scared of unknown territories. I think one of the challenges, particularly young people, they want to be told, or they want established ways of doing things. And when it's a space that is blank, they don't know what to do. So she made a profound impact in me, because it doesn't matter what organization I'm going into, it doesn't matter whether there's things in place or not, I'm going to get there and figure it out, and I'll make it work. So one of the leaders that I'll always talk about, And the second one that I think is worth talking about, in my previous organization, I was group HR for a company called Dark Fiber Africa. A profound gentleman by the name of Tinas Mulder. I went into an organization where there were some serious organizational challenges from a board perspective, and the Adcorp perspective. Deep cultural issues, to name a few. But what I learned from him is that human beings do change. When your intention is right, and then you have the courage to host or initiate very difficult conversation, human beings are willing to change. So you go and say, listen, there's this that is not working. This is the value this is the vision that you have to go there. These are the things that are standing in our way. Can we talk about them? So tackling really difficult conversations like racism in the workplace, because it's real. Some of the cultural toxicity in the workplace, they are real. The investments that organizations are doing towards their employees, their talent, the youth, towards the communities, are they genuine investments? Or are we ticking the box of our reporting or marketing, initiatives? So to really get into an organization and say, we are going to add meaningful value, we are going to drive results in a way that empowers, everyone that is in this organization, and having the courage to change conventional thinking in an organization. That is what I learned from Tinas, that you can really shift an organization when you really give yourself the oomph to say, I'm going to host that difficult, conversation. People do change. Yeah.
I think it goes back to that conversation of the initiative starts with you.
Yes. Yes.
Which I think goes back into my next question. I think for you, Mbali, what are the values that you prioritize as a leader? What are the values that you don't want to compromise on and say, I'm Mbali, and this is me, and this is my leadership? Yeah.
So one of the values that I think Dumelo touched on around empathy, I think it's very important as a leader in any space to be very empathetic, because you are working with other human beings, right? And to understand context situationally of the different people that you engage with, so that you are able to engage with them at the level that is most resonant with who they are and where they are. Another value of mine is continued self-development or self-awareness. I think as a leader, it is very difficult for you to lead if you don't know who you are. And so you have to continually invest in getting to know yourself, understanding your blind spots. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? How do I react in these situations? What are my triggers in certain environments? And how do I navigate that in a way that is going to preserve the environment that I'm trying to create, but also show a degree of vulnerability to the people that I'm leading, so that they can see that I'm not just a machine, I'm human as well, and because of that, they would be able to relate. And lastly, I think what is becoming more prominent is just around resilience and adaptability. I think that is such a key leadership quality, and for the young people in the room, I think adaptability and resilience is something that you need to actually cultivate. We live in a constantly changing world, and we are faced with so many challenges from different aspects, whether professionally or personally. And when you come into adversity or challenges, the thing that it requires of you is to be resilient and to be able to adapt. So understand, when do I pivot? When do I make a change? How do I need to adapt to the situation so that I stay relevant, and in my relevance, I'm able to continue influencing?
Absolutely love that. And I think, Lerato, this maybe touches on to the question that I want to ask you. Have there been moments in your leadership journey where you've had to pivot or change or adapt to situations that ask you the question of, what kind of leader does Lerato need to be right now?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think it also depends on where you are in your leadership journey. I often think that in my early 20s, when I had to lead my first team, was very different to the team that I'm leading now. So really, it is about meeting people where they are. I think that's really incredibly important. So you're not just adjusting to the environment that you're in, but you're sometimes adjusting to the people that you're leading. Because sometimes you can say you're diplomatic in the way that you lead, but you might find that some people need some sense of direction and for you to be able to, lead them in such a way that they need. So it's also about adapting to the people that you're leading because those individuals are seeking some guidance. Some people seek autonomy, for example, and then you need to adjust and adapt to that. And so for me, what I really want to encourage anyone to do is to often look at the people that they're leading and see where they are in their journey in terms of their own personal development, but also understanding yourself in that leadership journey and never losing the crux or the foundation of how you lead. Because once you become flexible and you're trying out different types of leadership styles, the fundamentals still remain the same, and you are still the same person that's going to lead those individuals.
I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. Before we move on, I just want to, did I mention that there's a Nestlé prize we're going to give away before Portia goes away? Who in the room can tell me what are the names of the people who have helped shape the leader she is today, that she mentioned? No one is taking notes. Okay. Is there someone in the room? Is she right? Okay. Are we giving her the prize or? Okay. Well deserving. Nice. You are actually paying attention. You see, it helps, guys. It helps. It helps. Dumela, I'd just like to move on to you. What challenges have you encountered, as a leader and just either in corporate or just generally in your life? What are some of the challenges that you've encountered and you feel you can share with young people today just to, get a few nuggets and pearls of wisdom from there?
Okay, so I think the challenge I faced when I got into leadership was I came from a snap-bang marketing background, and as you go higher up the scale, you realize that there's a lot more finance-related things and dealing with numbers. So going back to the values, so like my values, and like I believe in the law of the lid being you and your capacity at that time. So for me, it was going back to school. So literally, I just finished my postgrad now with WITS in finance. Well, not finance, in postgraduate in business management with the finance element to just boost up my acumen on finance, It's being mentored by the likes of Nicole, who also came from a marketing background, and saying, how did you navigate moving from this brand kind of role into the senior leadership role and changing that thinking cap? So it's also getting advice from different people. So because at the end of the day, someone has walked that journey. We like to say, indlela ibuzwa kwabaphambili, So the road is asked, how do I pronounce it in English for people? Hi, guys, yeah. Those who've walked the journey will kind of explain it to you. So for me, that's how I face challenges. Never afraid to ask questions. Never afraid to always want to be the smartest in the room, because sometimes you will learn from someone that you least expect to learn from. So that for me is how I tackle those challenges.
I absolutely love that. And before we lose Portia, I just want to touch on to what Dumela just said. How important is it for young leaders today to upskill themselves and to make sure that they, we're living in the fourth industrial revolution, to make sure that they're constantly changing with the changes brought forth by the world, but also adapting as leaders for whatever positions they find themselves in?
Absolutely critical. There's no other option than that one, if one is to be relevant. And I love that you're referring to how technology is evolving, because it's evolving every single day at a rapid pace, especially in this era. The team that I was sitting with, outside, we're talking about how generative AI is going to impact some of the jobs that the young people are intending on doing. Somebody's studying a finance course. How is a job of a finance manager or CFO going to be impacted by AI, which can put together all your financial books, put together reports for you, and do an analysis for you? So then how do you now rethink that career that you were intending on doing? And so many other fields that exist are going to be impacted by technology. So it is non-negotiable if one really has got an ambition to add value. I'm always an advocate for our continent, but to add value for this continent, you have to constantly look at where you are at, where you want to be, and then what do you need to be doing to learn. And learning is not just learning from a functional perspective, what I want to do. I'm always going to come back to what Mbali is talking about, learning who am I, and who am I in relation to what I want to do or what I want to be or how I'm showing up, in the spaces that I'm in, so you learning in terms of yourself and constantly, doing some appraisals on yourself. Oh, I had a simple example, we were outside there, we asked young people to come and do quick pitches, come and quickly pitch your business idea so that you can win a 5,000 Rand prize. That was an amazing experience. After that experience, you ask yourself, how did I do? Did I immediately get my message to land on what my business is about? Did I immediately get my message to be so clear and put together a compelling story for me to win the prize? So then you go back like, okay, I need to learn how to pitch an idea in 2-3 minutes. So that learning is constant. It never ends. And there is also a myth of learning only being academic. We're learning every single day. As we're sitting here, as we've shared the day today, I have learned a lot from you guys. I've learned a lot. So every human interaction, it gives us an opportunity to learn. Sure. And then we need to really be conscious of that learning.
I love that. Every human interaction gives us an opportunity to learn, and it's so important for us to really be constantly in the motion of wanting to learn, taking and feeding our souls. I'd just like to maybe revert this to Deepshika quickly. In learning and really growing as a leader, we need to take criticism sometimes, get feedback from others. At work, we do KPIs and KPCs. How have you taken criticism and just feedback as a leader?
That's actually a good question, because yesterday I was in class and I was teaching my students what are the different ways that you can give feedback and receive feedback, right? I think one thing that I told my students yesterday as I was teaching is never think that the person is criticizing you, they're always criticizing your work. All right, I think always having the separation mindset of when somebody's giving you constructive feedback, know that it's not a direct attack to you as a person, right? It's about the work that you've done or something that you've said. And the other thing is always give people the benefit of the doubt. I mean, I always tend to believe the good in people. And so sometimes when something happens at work or in a conversation with a colleague or a friend, right? If somebody sort of like says something about your work, but says it in a way that's very, I'll say rude, for a lack of a better word, always go back to the person and ask them first if they're doing okay, right? Because sometimes people will say something in the moment, not being mindful just because they're going through something at home or somebody said something to them right before they had that conversation with you. So I think it's always asking people how you're doing. I think it's so easy, and it's also sometimes very hard, because I think that's when you sort of level the playing field, where you're coming back to this person and be like, listen, I understand what you said, and this is how it made me feel, and I just want to have a conversation about it, right? So I think for me, I was definitely not like that. I had to learn it the hard way, obviously. I think for me, I remember a few years ago when I was in the public eye in Mauritius, right? Obviously, people are entitled to their own opinion, and that's more than okay, right? Because freedom of speech, freedom of ideas, right? But I remember the first time where I had said something on the radio, and then the next morning I woke up and my name was plastered on the news because they took what I said in a different direction, and so I had like personal attacks to me and my family on sort of what I said, right? And in that moment, I got really angry and I was really, really frustrated because that's not what I meant to say. That's what I was trying to say, right? And so I obviously did not have the training and the maturity to handle that, right? But eventually, I remember I was having a conversation with my dad, actually, and he said, listen, people don't know you, right? They know what you said and what you look like. And so when they're saying these things, they're saying it based on what you said in the moment and what you look like in the moment. You should never take that as a way to change who you are, what you believe in, but listen to what they have to say and then decide for yourself. Use your judgment and your gut to decide if it's worth listening to what they're saying and changing your work or changing what you said. Or if it's not worth it, then don't bother about it, right? But I think it always goes back to what you said, like it's about who you are and what you believe in, right? And then listening to what people have to say and use your judgment and your gut to say if it's worth paying attention to or if it's not.
I really love what you just said, and I think I always say it's so important for you to be in tune with your why. So when your why is so vivid, though anything that you hear along the way or the no's and everything won't shake you as much, and it won't change, who you are and what you stand for. So I really love that. Quickly, I just want to take a question from the floor. Does anyone have a question for my amazing panel? As we still in the heated moment, there's okay. Please just tell us your name and then just say if you're directing a question to the panel as a whole or someone particular in the panel, you can just share.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Sinago. My question is directed to Portia. I heard Portia mention how it's important to have difficult conversations with regards to changing status quo in corporate organizations. But there's been stories in the past of people who have been targeted for trying to change status quo, especially because it tends to mean a compromise in the company's bottom line. Sure. So what you have to say to individuals who want to agitate for change but are nervous to actually experience that type of targeting. And then my second question is, it's just that I forgot his name, but he's from Alex Forbes.
Okay.
But my question is, yes. So my question was, with the advent of AI, what are the conversations that are being had in boardrooms to ensure that we realize AI's full potential, but while still having big business fulfill their social responsibility with regards to the large unemployment in the country, if obviously it's going to mean that it's going to take away from jobs, as you said, which young people are looking to do in the future. Thank you.
Can I give him an voucher? Yeah? I think, Portia, let's start with your question, yeah.
Sure. So the world never changes when everybody conforms, right, to a status quo. People who've got the courage to question and challenge, that's how the world changes and evolves. And it's not an easy, we're not really taught. I know there's communications classes in schools, but you only learn, in the moment, as in practice. So first, you need to know what is it that you want to question or to challenge, in an organization. Do your homework, and ensure the validity of what you want to say. And then secondly, courage comes from within, and I can tell you, nerves don't stop at a certain age. They continue happening. But you need to learn techniques, what techniques can I use for me to cultivate that courage, So you need to have practice, and there's simple things that I'm sure Bali can teach you. Breathing techniques, so sitting, being firm on the ground, and then you're taking this breathing exercise that you do to say, so that you can calm down, and you're like, okay, now I'm calm, I've got a clear mind, I'm not emotional, and then I'm going and say, hey, listen, can we have a conversation about this? First, if you don't do it, you'll never have peace, because you have a conviction that this is something that needs to be done, or this is something that needs to change, So you're doing an injustice to yourself, so you're letting yourself down, if you don't do it, so you have to do it. And have the conversation, clear mind, not emotional, you're tackling the topic, you're not tackling the individuals, and then always look for what is the call to action that you're asking for, what is the way forward, what is the outcome. Go to a conversation with an outcome that you're looking to have and say, I'm here because I would like for us to find maybe an alignment, a way forward, or achieve X, Y, Z, however the way that we're doing things now, or however the situation is, I see it not working in X, Y, Z, can we put our heads together and find the best solution forward? So do that. And if it's really difficult, it's always good to practice with someone, Get someone to support you and practice, to say, listen, I'm going to have this conversation. Can I just role play to you, and then you help guide me, So there's a lot of techniques that you can use, but the bottom line is never, if you believe you've got a strong conviction of something, never not take it forward, It starts with one experience, and that experience is going to form your character going forward. So are you going to have a character where you're going to have people walking all over you, or are you going to have a character where, with respect, with care, with positive intention, are you going to say, please, let us have a conversation? You may find that somebody's got a blind spot to something. They say, you know what, thank you so much. I didn't see things that way, or I didn't realize it. You've really given me a gift today. Okay? Thank you.
I absolutely love that. Can you give her a round of applause for that? I think I'll move on to Lerato for your question.
Sure. So I think whenever I'm asked that question, I often reflect on all the different industrial revolutions that we've been through. So if we think about back in the days when people used to plant and build their own things from scratch, and then that moved to production. So the skills that were required evolved. So we then moved into production, mass production, and when mass production started being automated, industries then changed, and then that's when the introduction of services started coming into play, because now you have accountants, customer service consultants, people managing experiences. And I think that where we are at this point in time is at that tip, where AI is making our lives easier. And so I often think that it's not taking away from, it's not taking jobs away, but instead it's evolving how and when we used to do things. And so for me, it really is about making sure that we are having conversations about creating a level of readiness. Are we having conversations with institutions and getting to understand the qualifications that they're endorsing, so that as corporate, we are aligned to what they're teaching and they're aligned to the skills that we need. And so for me, those are the conversations that we're leading, and those are the conversations we are having, where we're helping people understand. And I mean, I often say, for me, what AI and technology is doing is making my life easier. To Portia's example around ChatGPT, before I'd have to go through various articles in order for me to put a presentation together, but now I can ask ChatGPT to look for those articles for me. I can ask it to interrogate what I'm presenting. And I mean, I'm currently working on my PhD. I put my topic in there and I said to it, please interrogate it. Is it worth researching? And it could give me different elements and different angles. And that's sometimes something we can't get from just relying on the status quo. So for me, it really is about immersing ourselves in the technology and really understanding when you're looking at the skills or the qualifications that you're doing, how do they fit into the future? But the nice thing about where we are is also the fact that skills are going to evolve. What you're doing now is not going to be the same thing that you're going to do in 20 years' time. So really, it's about making sure that you need to evolve your skills, and what you're doing today could look very different to what you're doing in the next 10 years.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much for the question. I think we'll give you a Uber Eats voucher for that. Let me move on to people online. Thank you so much for engaging. We're seeing the questions and we're seeing the engagement online. I'd like to read out Khotlelelo Tlaka's question. She says, how important is networking in building a successful career, and what strategies do you recommend for effective networking? I don't know, Mbadi, do you want to maybe start with that? Yeah.
Networking is pivotal in building a successful career. I think a lot of people think that, well, young people specifically, and I think if you have not had exposure to potentially a corporate environment, you typically think that the skills, technical skills that you have are enough to get you to where you need to be in that organization or anywhere in life, which is not the case. It's usually in the softer skills that will help elevate you and get you to that next level. And one of the key important skills or soft skills that one can cultivate is the ability to build long-lasting relationships and being clear about what you want those relationships to serve and tie that to your vision and your purpose and your mission. I think with networking, it also has to be very intentional again. I always come back to intentionality. So being very clear about why you're networking, who you're networking with, and it's not just about collecting a number of business cards or following people on LinkedIn. That is just the basis of it. But it's about actively cultivating relationships that are going to nurture you as an individual, where you can get a form of direction, support, resourcing, and also just influence from the networks that you build. I will just lastly touch on this journey that I'm on in my platform, Wellness in the Workplace, that a lot of the work that I've actually been able to do has been a result of good relationships that I've cultivated throughout my career. And I've had to look back to the people that I have built relationships with to ask questions, to get guidance, and to also just get opportunities. And I want young people to actually not be scared to ask for those those opportunities and to not be scared to say, my intention with building this relationship with you is for the purposes of X, Y, Z. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and it's not you being transactional, it's not you being opportunistic. Do away with language like that, but and focus on the strategy and being strategic about building these types of relationships.
I absolutely love that, and I think I'll move on to Dumelo. But before I do, are you guys engaging with us on social media? What's the hashtag? What's the other hashtag? Come on. So he's going to give away an Oppo giveaway, but I'm going to ask him a question. So maybe like quickly tweet something so you can, stand a chance to actually win. So the question that I have, and I think it just ties on to what Mbali just spoke about now with just networking. How do you foster collaboration and communication within your team?
Okay, so I think what we do in our team is we've got like a daily stand-up, and then we've got a weekly stand-up. So your daily stand-up is literally 5 minutes. Guys, this is what I'm struggling with. This is what I need help with. Please help me. And then everyone in the team is able to give you input that points you in the right direction, right? And then in the weekly catch-up sessions is where you do your sales reviews within the bigger organization. There we are checking to see, is the product being received well? Do we have enough stock in stores, kind of thing? Are people happy? Is the brand perception from the research that we're getting saying that we are delivering from a marketing communication, the stuff that we say the device or the product can actually do? So for us, I think we focus on getting people to open up, because different people have different personalities. I'm more of an introvert, so it takes me a little bit longer to get me to say something. But people in the team are able to then throw, I want to say kind of throw a bone that allows you to then speak at what you're confident at.
Are you ready to give away the giveaway?
Technically, yes and no.
Okay. Okay, comes with T's and C's.
Yeah, it does come with T's and C's.
What's the no for?
Well, the device we're giving away is actually our sister brand. It's called Real Me, right? It's not an Oppo.
Okay.
So that's the no, in that it's no, it's not an Oppo, but yes, we are one family.
Okay. What's the yes?
Someone's getting a phone.
Someone, did you hear that? Someone is, should we give it away now, or how would you like to navigate?
Let's do it. Let's do it. The people are ready.
Should we do it now?
Yes, please.
And how would you like to navigate it? Should I ask them a question?
Yeah, I think I'll leave that to you.
Sure.
You're the expert.
You're the pressure. Oh, no, actually, let's see. Who's been engaging on social media? Can anyone maybe track our social media engagements? Who's been posting, tweeting a lot, tagging us? Somebody's about to get a phone. It's big.
The hands are many, eh?
Yeah, I see a lot of hands. There's a lot of hands. Why do you guys have hands? Who's been? Are you lifting up hands for who's been engaging, or do you have a question? Oh, okay. I think Joy is going to help us maybe check who's been engaging quite a lot. Or should we take one question and give you guys time to engage? Wow. You have a question?
We're going to give it another 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then we'll come back.
So are you guys tweeting? So I'm going to take one more question from the floor from the lady in front. Can we get a mic for her?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sanyu Sematimba, and I work at the African Leadership Academy. Thank you so much to the panelists. I've learned so much. I think what I wanted to find out, we've been speaking about so many things, but I wanted to ask a question about regulating our mental health as entrepreneurs, as people in the workspace. I think it's something that is not discussed practically. We can network, raise money, and do all these amazing things, but how do we make sure that we are looking after our mental health on a day-to-day basis so that we don't end at a place where we are often burning out or crashing? I often burn out 3 times a year. And I'm like, that's not sustainable. So any advice from anyone on the floor? Thank you.
Can I quickly direct it to Portia, because we only have 2 minutes left with her. Do you want to pass off? Yeah.
But is the expert here. However, there's quite a few things on my mind about mental health. First, okay, I'm not in this generation. I'm in the previous generation, so I'm no longer qualified to be called youth. But as I was growing up, the topic mental health, the tagline was not even there. You know, we were not taught at school. You know, I remember there was a subject where they used to teach us hygiene, you know, how to brush our teeth, and then we were taught how to cross the street, you know, but how to care for your body is there, but how to care for your mind was never there, right? And then we grow up in the streets, you know, someone who's got some mental illness, they were ostracized, you know, they were teased, you know, it was not a good thing. So we grow up not knowing really how to navigate it, that is one. And the big challenge is the stigma that gets attached to it. And that stigma that has come up with these decades of not really figuring this out, it has created a society where if someone is not feeling well, they want to hide because they don't want to be judged, to be less than, something is wrong with me. But we are in a society where there is illness, you know, every day, if it's a concept of illness. There's flu, there's all sorts of things. So really my desire is first, people should get to a position where they know that if I'm not okay, it is okay to say I'm not okay. Just like, I'm feeling a bit fluey today, you know. It should be okay. It should not be, oh, what's wrong with you? We don't know how to deal with you, right? So first, we need to be comfortable with understanding that health is holistic, you know. It is not only physical, you know. And as we have more and more of these conversations, that's how we're going to start really pushing the needle, right? So that's number one. We need to know, regulate yourself, know when you're not feeling well, when you didn't wake up well, and be able to talk about that. But even before you get there, have a strategy of how to take care of yourself, you know. So take care of yourself physically. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself in terms of what you put in your mouth, you know. You are giving yourself sleep. You are connecting with other humans because that is critical for us to be healthy beings. You know, we need to connect. And then you are moving physically. You are active. You are working out. You are exercising. Those are key pillars of what we call health. And those pillars, they are also going to inform how your mind is, how you deal with this world that we are living in every single day, the moment-to-moment, you know, situations that we're coming across. How do you deal with them? So you need to have a strategy of what do I need to do for my holistic well-being, you know. And when you're doing those things, also be able to identify when is something off, you know. Maybe I ate something which is not sitting right. Okay, I need to come and relook what I'm putting in my mouth. Okay, maybe I'm feeling a bit down. I don't feel like talking to people. You know, to quickly identify that. Oh, okay, no, something is not on it. Then what do I do? So know upfront. What is it that I'm going to do? Do I speak to people? Do I go for a run? You know, do I go and have a nice turn? Do I watch something? Decide what is it that you're going to do to put yourself in a certain state. You know, and really when it's talking about burnout. So she was very clear that 3 times a year. so which means I would like to think that she can see the build-up. She already knows that, oh, okay, last year this happened and it led me to a state of burnout. So let me be smart about it. What is it that I'm going to do this year to ensure that I don't even get to that state? Because the moment you have to now treat something, you know, you are in a position that you should not even be in it. So what do I do to make sure that I put myself in a state that I don't burn out? So I can see there's maybe financial year ends coming, there's these deadlines that are coming. How do I now start pacing and planning for my work so that I don't get to a state of, maybe I need help, maybe I need to pull in some other resources, say, please come and help me. I know there's this time that is coming that is going to be high pressure, you know. So make sure that you've got a clear plan. Our health becomes incidental, you know. Only when a doctor says something is wrong, then we're like, oh, you know. So there has to be a strategy of, that's exactly what we're talking about, work, careers, businesses. the same conversation one needs to have about their well-being. There is no point in you succeeding in getting a job, in running a successful business, if you are not going to enjoy it, you know. So your first and most critical strategy is the strategy on yourself, you know, how is your well-being? And then you put yourself in a position when you have the energy, your brain is sharp, it works to work on everything else. So that's really my contribution.
Thank you so much, Portia, and I really love that. And I think just to add on to that, one thing that I really live by is you cannot pour from an empty cup. So it's so important for you to constantly keep, you know, being in tune with who you are and you, and making sure that Tebogo is okay, and only then can you be okay and lead other people and really fully be present in whatever space that you need to find yourself in. So I'm going to be announcing the winner at 1 p.m. So we still have about like 6 minutes. So this is a prize from Oppo that I'll be sending out. So it's not the smartphone, but it's a prize from Oppo. I'm not sure what's in there, but it's a prize. It's nice things. Oh, okay. Joy reassures us that it's nice things. So I'll be announcing that at 1 p.m. I don't know if you're going to be leaving us now, Portia. I would just like to say thank you for joining the panel. And can you give her a round of applause? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think, Dipshika, I'm going to just jump right into you. How can young people be self-leaders in their own lives and communities?
Oh, that's a good one. I think it always goes back, and I think we've been going back and forth about it. I think it's first always knowing what your why is. I think it's like if you know that you want to help the minority community in where you come from, or you want to help young women, right? Also figure out what's the why, right? Like what's the reason behind why you're doing what you're doing. And I think I always believe in that if you don't ask for what you want, you're not gonna get it. But it goes back to also asking yourself, what is it that you want, right? For yourself, for the community around you, for the people around you, right? It's always going back to the why, and I think that's where it starts. And I think, so something that I do with my students, we do this thing called the 5 whys. So usually we say that when you see a problem that's happening in your community or in the world, but what you see might not always be what the actual problem is. So always go back to asking the 5 whys, right? So if this person is if this community is going through this, why are they going through this? And then you'll get the answer, right? And then you ask yourself the why again, and so you actually get to the root cause of the issue, right? And the root cause always should align with your why as well, right? I can't be caring about mental health, but what I'm working on is environmental right. Not to say they're both wrong, right? But you'll see yourself, if you truly are passionate about helping with mental health, right, you will find yourself wanting to dedicate hours and days on trying to fix that, right, or to come up with a solution, right? But if you don't actually care about what you stand for, then you will find yourself, one, you're going to burn out because you're just doing it because everybody else around you is doing it because it sounds fun or it sounds cool, right? But if you do it from a place of, even if the going gets rough, you know why you're doing it and what you stand for, it helps you move forward, right? And I think for me, it always goes back to like the self-leadership, it's always about like, what's your why, right? Always ask yourself, why are you doing this? You know, what's the purpose? What's the point of it? So I think, yeah.
I love that. Why, what is your why?
Yeah.
You know, and stick to it throughout, and especially in your leadership skills. I'm going to speak to you, Mbali, but I think first let me pose a question to Dumelo, but the same question we posed to you. Dumelo, from my understanding, you were once mentored by someone who was a CEO through this alliance and the CEO times Youth Connect. Let me know, why is mentorship so important, and how has that really helped you in your journey, in your life, and how has that made you a better leader today?
Okay. So I think mentorship is important, particularly for me, because that advice I got was invaluable, right? Is you come straight out of varsity, you've got this skill set, you've got this toolbox, and you want to apply certain skills into an organization, but you need someone that kind of is like your soundboard. It's kind of like therapy, you know? in that they help you clutter things in your brain. So it's like, okay, I'm good at marketing, I'm good at sales, I'm good at data analysis. But then the mentor says, okay, this applies in this way, this is how you can package yourself. So those are some of the sessions I actually had with Nicole Russi of Nestlé. In that our first session, literally, we had this booklet, and she was very firm. It's like, okay, so what do you want? Why are you here? And I'm just like, okay. And I'm like, no, this is the journey I'm on, and this is the path I'm trying to take. And then she's like, okay, let's do a SWOT analysis. What are you strong at? Okay, this is what I'm strong at. What are you weak at? Okay. And this is where you're weak at. This is how you can improve that. That's hence me going back to school, you know. And then it's, okay, what are the opportunities that you see? And I remember she says, okay, I see you've got a good eye on around innovation, so I'll sit you with the innovation team. Just spend a day with them, get to understand and learn what they do and how they see things that could kind of trigger stuff in your mind. So that's the role mentorship kind of has played for me. And there's been many more other mentors that you seek different things from, just to help you kind of clutter things in your brain correctly.
I think, Bali, maybe just to add on to what he just said.
I've been on both ends, right, as a mentor as well as a mentee. And I think one of the most pivotal moments in my corporate career was when I was deciding what the next move was, when I was in a previous marketing role, actually. And a mentor served as a soundboard, as somebody who was able to provide guidance, somebody who was also able to allow me to tap into their networks. And lastly, someone who was able to reflect my light back to me. And I think that's such an important point, especially when you cultivate a very intentional and long-term relationship with a mentor, that they get to know you on a personal level. And in them getting to know you on a personal level, when you aren't seeing your light, when you aren't seeing your magic, they're the ones that are able to reflect that back to you. So I had a mentor do that for me, and that had shifted my perspective and my approach in terms of how I navigate and strategize around my career in a way that I hadn't before. And the fact that, I had somebody that was so invested in me and trusted me so much that they allowed me to even tap into some of the people that they've cultivated relationships with, which could have been, pretty much ruined if I had not understood the gravity of the situation. It also just reflected what they see in me. So I think that's another thing that young people can look at when considering a mentor, is that somebody who is able to see you, truly see you, and can reflect your light back to you. And as a mentee, as somebody who was a mentor actually earlier this year in the All for Youth mentorship program, I think one thing that I really tried to do with the few people that I mentored was that I wanted to make it really practical, right? I think there was a huge gap around practical tools, practical skills, and practical knowledge that they would be able to apply. And I picked up that, a lot of the mentees were feeling like they don't know what to do, or they don't know how to navigate certain situations. They don't know how to put together a CV, for example. They don't know what to say if they have to, go for an interview. And the role then that I had to play in that situation was then providing those practical tools to a point where we even had sessions where we did mock-ups of, an interview with them. So I think mentorship is dynamic, but one of the things that has really stuck with me based on my experience is that just have somebody that is able to reflect your light back to you.
Sure. I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. I'm going to announce the winner for the Opal Prize. Can I give it a drum roll, like a mini? And the winner is, I hope I'm saying this correctly, Thoren Zabile. Thoren is. Oof. Sorry. You're the winner of our prize. Thank you so much for sharing. You're going to. Do you have any question for our panel? Please do maybe share the question with us as the winner.
Hi guys. Can you see me? Okay. I just wanted to ask you, what is your, 101 advice for people that are trying to develop leadership skills? People that want to get into that position. What would be your, catch 101?
I'm going to challenge my panel and say, can you each give me one sentence? Or, yeah, one sentence. Let's start with Tumelo, and then we'll work our way up to Mbali.
Okay, I think my one sentence is network, because your network will then influence your net worth. The people you're sitting with here are future leaders already. And so as you rise together, you'll find these are the same people.
One sentence.
I can't give one sentence. I can't give one sentence to 2 paragraphs of the question, you know what I mean? But essentially, essentially network, like just network, get to know people, because they will be the touch point that will get you to that leadership position.
Okay. Maybe let me say one paragraph.
I think I can do it in one sentence.
Okay.
Okay. I'd say you don't know everything about everything, so always ask questions and have a growth mindset.
I love that.
I think for me, it's understanding and knowing how you lead. You don't always have to lead from the front. You can always lead from the back as well.
Love that.
It ties back to what Lerato said. You don't need the title or the position to be a leader. That's it.
You don't have to wait to be the CEO, the Miss South Africa, the whatever, before you actually step into things that you're meant to be. So show up in rooms as if you're already the CEO, as if you're already the president, Miss South Africa, whatever, and you don't understand how many opportunities that can come to you just simply by showing up, you know, and really just showing up as your best version, as your best self, as the CEO. You need to see it in your mind before you see it in real life, right? Okay. I'll take one more question from the floor. Yeah. Can my people on the floor help me? Online, can you also maybe just share questions? Maybe I can get one more question from online as well.
Good afternoon. My name is Labison Jangase. I'm a student at the University of Johannesburg. My question is based on the lovely lady who, I don't remember her name, but she said she's a Premier Minister, thank you, and Mauritius. Yeah, so, you got to that position at a very young age, right? And I also want to be like a leader growing up at this age I'm at. Right? And I want to start now, because I feel like if I start at a later stage, people are going to suffer, right? So what advice can you give me that will encourage me, that will keep me going, that will make me not give up even when people are throwing stones at me, even when people don't see this vision that I'm seeing? Because I so badly want to help the people that come from where I'm coming from the villages, because they have less information, they've got less resources, so I want to go and reach out there. So like, what advice can you give me? What advice can you say that, okay, as a young female leader, this is what you can do, this is what you can prevail through these struggles. Of course, I'm going to meet struggles and, you know, but this is what I can do, this is what I can focus on in order to reach my goal and in order to help those people from back there.
Sure, beautiful question.
Thank you for the question, and I cannot wait to see you in office one day. But I think what I will say, there's so many things, but we can talk about that later as well. But the main things I will say to you is, you just have to keep going. I know it sounds very easy to say, but when I started this journey, at no point did I tell myself, and we were talking about that earlier, right? Like, at no point did I tell myself that I'm doing this because I want to be in this space or because I want to be on a panel to talk about what we're talking about, right? I just kept going, knowing that I could not spend a single day of my life to see the injustices that was happening around me. And I did not expect the impact, that it was the magnitude that it was going to happen. When I was elected, I got elected, and then I went home, and then my mom called me and told me, "What did you do? Your name is on the front page." I was like, "I don't know, I didn't do anything." And she was like, "No, you definitely did something, because my friend told me that your name is on the front page of the TV newspaper." And that was not the intention. my intention has always been to help the community around me. And also because I was tired of not seeing people that look like me make decisions about me, my body, how I would think, and how I should live my life. And so I just went back to this whole idea of my purpose is not for myself, it's for people around me. And I have had the privilege, and I'm going to acknowledge that I've had the privilege of getting a very good education in 6 different countries. That not everybody around me has had that opportunity and the privilege, but that doesn't mean that that privilege dies with me and ends with me. How can I extend that same space and that same opportunity for others around me, right? So even if that doesn't mean them going to the US to study for the university, I went there, I studied this, how can I bring this back to my own community, right? And I think my advice for you is do it because you want to do it and not because people around you are telling you to do it or telling you that you shouldn't do it. After my mandate was over in the youth parliament, I decided that I actually want to be in the real spaces, so I ran for office in Mauritius. I was not elected, but I did it because I wanted to figure out if I can make my mark into the world, right? And when I was running for my campaign, I went on TV and I spoke very, very clearly about my plans for youth education around climate. And when I wasn't elected, 3 months later, I remember I was watching, because the parliament session is live streamed, and I remember I was watching it, and one of the ministers actually brought up things that I spoke about when I was doing my campaign. And at first I was really angry. I was like, how dare he? That's my idea, and now he's using my idea. But then I told myself, it doesn't matter who's saying it, because at least it's getting done. So if that means that he's taking my idea and using his opportunity, his platform, and his power to make it happen, that's why I was doing it in the first place. It doesn't matter. So I also want to say that what you do, you might not see the impact of it today or tomorrow or maybe in a year, but the people who you're working for and working with, they will feel the impact one day or the other. So you just have to keep going and just keep pushing.
I absolutely love that. So we only have about 20 minutes left, but I think just to add on, what is your name? The lady who asked the question? Ngxabiso. I just want to say that I started my foundation when I was 16 years old. Mind you, I come from a township, I didn't have money. So it goes back to the chat we had before when I said, being a CEO, being the next president, being the next Mrs. whatever, you don't need to start when they say you're getting the title next year. You start whenever, just start. If you fail, you learn ways on how not to do it. So start wherever you are right now. Don't wait to be ready, you will never be ready. What if you say, I'm ready next year, then COVID hits again? Are you gonna wait another 3 years, you know? And that really goes on to all our dreams in life. Just start. You know, don't wait to be ready. You'll never ever be ready. Just do it scared, you know? And so many people I always say so many people with half your purpose and half your capabilities are doing so much more out there because they just start. Whereas you're waiting to be ready and so many opportunities are missing you. So don't wait to be ready. You'll never be ready. Just do it scared. Just do it. Nike, just do it. With that said, I think to my panel, what impact do you hope to make as a young leader? Maybe let me start with Mbali.
Big question.
Let's keep it a bit brief because we don't have a lot of time.
I have to give a little bit of a story, just a little. So just a few weeks ago, I was giving a speaking engagement, or I was at a speaking engagement with a similar audience and demographic such as this. And it was so disheartening that in the one-on-one sessions that I had with some of the young people that were in the audience, they were talking syndrome, not feeling like they're good enough, feeling very helpless. And there was just this sense of hopelessness and despair in the audience. And that broke my heart so much. And so I think that for me reflected that there is a fundamental problem in terms of positive reinforcement when it comes to youth development. There aren't enough structures or people or platforms that are positively reinforcing young people and their capabilities. And so when we do think about youth development, when we do think about youth leadership, I think there's a lot of work that's to be done around confidence building, around reminding young people people of the power of their voice and their ability to be able to make social change through their platforms, through the voice, through them just being where they are. And so I hope in the work that I do, I inspire young people to be able to just take up that space and take that stand for things that they stand for or things that they stand against, to be able to use their power, to be able to use their voice, and to build up the confidence to step into these spaces knowing that they belong there.
Sure. I love that. I love that. Lerato?
I think for me, I often reflect on what my mentor often says to me, and he often says that as you move up or as you open doors for yourself, don't forget to leave the door open. And I think there's power in that because you take people with you. And I often take it a step further to say, don't just leave the door open. Pull some people in and bring some people into the space. And so for me, it really is important that as you develop and establish your own leadership journey, that you are taking people with you, because you are only, I always say, a leader is only as good as the leaders they create.
Sure. Yeah. Round of applause for that. Yeah.
Okay, it's hard to go after them, so but I'll try. I think for me is I'm really passionate about education, and I really believe in the power of education. But my impact in the world is I want to revolutionize the education on the African continent.
Sure.
I want us to move away from this idea that one kind of education fits every single student. I want to create a system that's adaptive learning and inclusive learning. So starting from training educators to know that when they're walking into a room, if they have a class of 20 students, not all 20 students are the same, right? Each student brings something different, and create a tailored and adaptive learning model that helps to push these students to where they should be to reach their full potential. Yeah.
I absolutely love that. Dumelo?
Now my job is even harder. But I'll keep it short and sweet, guys. I think for me, it goes back to that philosophy I believe in. The expert in anything was once a beginner. So don't be afraid to try something. In fact, I've learned more from failing forward than in the successes, you know. So just don't be scared. You know, shoot your shot. You don't know what could happen.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I'm going to challenge you guys again. One sentence. One sentence. What do you want to be remembered for? I'll start with maybe even one word, but I'll keep it to one sentence. Dumelo?
The guy who always tried.
Sure. Okay.
Am I next?
You're next.
The person who was always kind.
Sure. I love that.
I think for me, it's the person that has empowered others.
I think for me, for my uncompromising authenticity, my unrelenting curiosity,
Sure.
and my spirit for life, basically.
Absolutely. Can you give that a round of applause? And I think lastly, I always say it's important to always have conversations with ourselves about our younger selves. So I'd always ask, what would I tell younger Tebogo today, you know, if I was her then? So now they have the privilege that they are a bit younger than us, and we can sort of have conversations with ourselves, but in reflection, they essentially listening to what can apply to their lives right now. What would you say to your younger self right now as the leader that you are today? Bali, we'll go from you to Dumelo.
Sure. Tap into your gifts and your talents. They are there to serve a purpose.
Yeah, sure.
Nice.
That's beautiful.
I think for me, it's don't forget to have fun. I think we're often focused on the end goal, that we're not experiencing all the other things or all the other steps in life. So if I reflect on my own leadership and where I was in my early 20s, I focused on working hard and not really being in the moment. So for me, it's really important to have fun.
I love that.
Okay, I would say don't be so hard on yourself. You are good enough.
Dumela?
I think for me, my takeout would be your hunger for knowledge has finally paid off.
I'm gonna challenge you guys again. Please complete this sentence for me. Are you getting? Are they getting Uber Eat vouchers? No. Please continue engaging with us, guys, on social media platforms as well. We're giving away prizes, especially with the online people. But please complete. This is the last one for you guys. Thank you so much for being here with us today. You've really shared so much immense knowledge with us, and I hope that everyone who's here is listening, and will apply everything in their lives, as well as the leaders that they want to become and the leaders that they are right now that they're not maybe aware of. Finish the sentence for me. A leader is. Dumelo, a leader is?
A people person.
A leader is?
Selfless.
A leader is?
A disruptor.
Sure. A leader is?
Someone with a clear vision.
Sure. And I'm going to say a leader is someone sitting here and online today. Thank you so much for tuning in and being here, intentionally taking the decision to sign up, register online, coming here in person as well. It says a lot about the leader that you want to become and are intentionally working on becoming. I'd also just like to thank our partners, today, Nestlé, ABB, Adcorp Group, PUMA, Publicis, Microsoft as well. Without them, this day wouldn't have been possible. Also just like to say a huge, huge thank you to All for Youth SSA. Please continue, reaching out on social media, sharing the content, being on the lookout for next events as well. Maybe we'll be giving away things, or maybe we'll be sharing more knowledge and events in future. So please be intentional about the future that you want for yourself. In closing, I'm also going to leave you with the guys a quote. But before I even leave you with the quote, before you leave, please, there's a mix and mingle afterwards. So any question, any burning question that you still have for our panel, I believe they're going to be here for a few minutes so that you can still engage with them, have a discussion and interaction with them. I'm also here if you want me to talk to you, if you want to talk with me or ask me any questions. But in closing quickly, I want to leave you with the quote that I really live by, and it says, I don't know who's watched Achille and the Bee? Everyone, the movie. So there's a quote that she went to read on the wall before the big spelling bee competition. If you haven't watched the movie, please watch it. It's a very beautiful movie. You'll cry in the process of it. And there's a quote that says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate, but our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure." We often ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, successful? And I suppose in light of where we are today, who are you to be a great leader? And my question to you today is, who are you not to be? Your playing small does not serve the world in any way. Like I said to you, just start now. Don't wait to be ready. You don't know what's happening tomorrow. COVID might hit, You might be, please, it's okay. COVID is not going to hit, guys. But don't wait to be ready. Do it now. Be a leader now. Do it as imperfect as you are. I hope everything that's been said today really applies for you and you become the best leader that you can possibly be. Thank you so much for coming here today. We are super, super grateful. Thank you so much for everyone who joined us online. There's prizes that are going to be announced. Please be on the lookout online. I think are they going to reach out? They're going to reach out to you guys on social media, so please ensure that you're still tweeting, taking pictures after this. Even if you want to take pictures with the guest speakers, share on your LinkedIn. Who has LinkedIn? Please share on LinkedIn, have profile, engage, network, guys. You never know where your next opportunity comes from, and you never know who your next mentor can be, and you never know who the next CEO you'll be working for is, So just make sure that every opportunity that comes your way, you grab it with both hands. Thank you, 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 thank you. Thank you.
think the last 5 years of All for Youth SSA as the implementation partner has been absolutely incredible. I look at where we started in about 2020 at the height of COVID, and it was such a confusing time. But we knew that young people had to have access to information to still advance. And I think back when we had our first CEO in Youth Connect, there were no people. It was basically the team and our CEOs. And now to think that we're at a point of celebrating our 5th annual CEO in Youth Connect with so many young people that are looking forward to being part of it, it's absolutely exciting. I think of how this has not only changed my life and the life of our team as the implementation team, but also changed the lives of the young people that we've impacted through internships, bursary programs, and initiatives such as our All for Hustlers and All for Mentorship. I look back and I just know that this is a journey that cannot be described in words because it's been absolutely phenomenal. To have grown our All for Youth community to over 20,000 young people, to engage with young people in high schools and universities, and at our CEO in Youth Connect and our partners, and see the investment that is made is absolutely, absolutely incredible.
This program has completely transformed my life on a personal level and also on a professional level. There's so many different skills I've learned when it comes to digital marketing, but also interpersonal skills like communication as well.
It was a bit scary at first. As a first-year student, I didn't really know how to navigate and utilize my journey in varsity, but the CEOXYOUTH Connect taught me a lot about networking, how to get the right internships, what is required for you to move from a space of being a student to working in corporate and working in the environment that you want to work in, as well as being insightful. Like, the best way to describe it was very insightful on the different industries as well as what the different industries do. For example, Nestlé, when I thought about Nestlé, I only thought about chocolate, but they do so much as well. And that was just really great for my knowledge.
So the All for Youth initiative has been very transformative, most especially the Global Career Hookup, where I got covered in the eGuide magazine. It was a proud moment for me because I had never been covered in a magazine before. So that had a very big impact in my career, where I got to share my 10-year goals with youth and different people out there, and having also just to tell my journey on how I transitioned from being a candidate attorney to being a transformation and sustainability intern at Adcorp.
I think All for Youth is important for young people because it brings the opportunities to the youth, to tell them of the opportunities that are available using the partners of All for Youth, which I think the big companies. Some people would not be aware of the opportunities that are within these big companies because they look so unreachable. But I think with All for Youth, they bring them to the students and they assist them with getting to access to those opportunities.
It's very impactful because there is a lot of people that have expertise within different disciplines in the corporate that we can learn the skills that we never had, and it will also change or rather shape our perspectives in how we do things and how we apply ourselves.
If you have no idea what you want to do for your future, or you're a student, second year, first year, and the path seems kind of hazy, this is the best place for you to start. You'll gain so much understanding about everything and anything when it comes to the industry, from tech to production and such and more. Yeah.
I think the number one thing is like networking, because of like when you network, you sort of like expose your mind to like, you know, new learnings. Continuous development is not just about, you know, picking a book or, you know, going on LinkedIn and like doing a course and stuff like that. Just exposing yourself to situations, or let's say like events like the CEO Youth Connect, just tapping into like what other young like-minded people or youth think. You get to like actually learn a lot from people like that, and it's actually like a cool platform because you actually get to engage with like CEOs. How often do you meet like a CEO? Some of them we don't even know where they stay, but you know, so yeah, I think that platform will actually, you know, empower like a lot of youth, and then just be open to like learning, yes.
My message to youth is to continue to develop themselves, stay curious, never stop learning, and be sure to network.
The world is changing, and I think us working together, us collaborating in having the power to drive this change and innovation, we will really create a sustainable and impactful, transformational corporate world.
Sure. I think that's a difficult one, but I would like to see us be pioneers in the industries that we work in. I'd really like us to really speak up and use our voices as Generation Z, Generation X, I think it's very important that we come with new ideas and also fresh perspectives of how the workplace should be and what does a healthy workplace look like, So yeah, I think I'd really just like us to see us be pioneers, engage in conversations that are difficult, engage in conversations that maybe adults aren't ready to hear yet, but they are important to us, and to show that we do need a seat at the table because we are the future.
If you take the initiative, the doors are always open. But more than that, there are people that are there that are willing and able to help you along the journey. I think for me, the experience that I've had with our different implementation partners and the organizations within the Alliance is a testimony of the investments that is there for young people. And if you are willing to put yourself into positions where you can learn and grow, the sky is only the limit. I think of the fact that there's so many young people that are looking for opportunities. The information is there. You just have to be willing to find it and then push through those doors to use it to advance. So yeah, make sure that you apply yourself, give it your all, and learn. Grow, because one thing for sure, the sky is definitely the limit.